Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking, 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction? What teams are losing? Franchises ruined. Fans in the stand booing.
Welcome to the SYM Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Sarek, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. If that is something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification button, and also hit the like button. Ron, we just had week 17, and we're recording this on Tuesday night. Monday, first of all, because that's the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Monday. Let's just go right through it. Mm-hmm. What did you see on the TV on Monday?
I saw a guy in Buffalo get hit, Hamlin, go to make a tackle and collapse. And I knew right away, just based on how he fell, how he collapsed, and where he got hit, I can tell this was going to be something serious, and it turned out to be something serious, unfortunately, and it was just horrifying to watch it on the field, in front of millions of people, watching on television, hundreds, or thousands of people in the stands. It was just horrifying to watch.
Now, in your estimation, because we've been going back and forth on this, on whether or not, and of course we're speculating because we're not medical professionals, but was this due to the football gods, the football hit, the collision, it was a bad hit or whatever, or did he maybe have this brought on because of the football hit?
You mean having an underlying condition? Mm-hmm. That I don't know if we know yet, but I think a few doctors have come out and said that they've seen this type of injury before, and it can happen. So it's just a result of horrific timing, bad timing, and him getting, the hit in the wrong area. You can't get hit in the chest at that specific time. Or it can cause you to collapse like it did for Hamlin. So it's unfortunate. But it's not something that doesn't happen. It's rare. It has happened before. I've sent you a video. I don't know if you saw it with the hockey player that it's happened to. I think it's happened in other sports like baseball as well. It's just it's a freak injury. And, it's something that I'm sure most of these players have never seen before. So I'm sure it was quite scary for everyone that were on the field.
Well, this is the thing with me is that, this kind of injury, having a cardiac arrest at such a young age, because he's under 25, right? 24. So to me, it's almost like, it doesn't matter what sport you play, right? Whether it's hockey, baseball, basketball, it just makes it seem like, hey, we're only humans, right? Mm-hmm. You can only do so much. I don't so much blame football. I think that, he's an athlete and he's going 100 miles an hour. He's going 100, giving it all he can. And I think that, it's just part of being a human being. I mean, I don't know, what I saw, because I didn't see him collapsing until like much later when, everything was on Twitter or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But it's the NFL handling the situation as well as possible, in your opinion.
Yeah. I mean, what can they do? Like I said, it's something that's, it's rare to happen, but all indications show that like everyone reacted well, right? So they were able to diagnose the situation, that it was a cardiac issue, not a head trauma issue. They were able to see that he was struggling to breathe on his own, and obviously they administered like CPR I think they did everything that they needed to. And it's, I heard quite a few people say this. If you were to be anywhere when that type of injury happens, that's one of the safest places to be because there's so many doctors there.
Yeah.
So he was, in that sense, he was fortunate where he was at. He was able to get immediate care, and they were hopefully, knock on wood, they were able to just save his life.
Yeah, I think I know that there's so many precautionary measures that you take, and I personally believe that the EMTs on the field saved his life. I mean, if that was anybody else, and I'm not trying to knock 911, but if you don't get medical attention right there and then,
especially with that specific injury, because it's from what I've read, and I forgot what it's called. I should probably know the name of it by now, but you collapse. Like, so after it happens, it's automatic. Your heart just
stops pumping, basically.
Exactly, right? Yeah. It doesn't beat normally, and you collapse.
So your brain doesn't get any oxygen.
If you don't have immediate CPR, immediate treatment to make sure the blood is pumping to your brain, even if you revive, you can have significant damage if you survive it at all. So he's fortunate. Anybody else, like you said, you can be in a car driving and get into an accident, and that can happen to you. It hits your chest, and it can cause all sorts of injuries to your heart, including cardiac arrest. And if you don't have someone right there to administer CPR, that could be it.
Yeah, and I think I want to say it's very easy to say thoughts and prayers, right? Because you want to have this person, Hamlin, in your heart at all times, thinking positive vibes at him at all times. And I even saw that people were donating to his toy drive.
Oh, yeah, over $3 million last time I checked.
I just, I always question, even if he survives this, which is a horrible injury, the quality of life. That's the thing that I always look at, especially, something happened to me, which, in the past it had, but I always think what is going to be the quality of life? Because it's one thing to survive this, right? It's another thing, will he ever play again? Will he ever walk again? I mean, from what I read last update was, he was breathing through a tube because he couldn't breathe himself. So it's you feel for that family because things are going to change.
Yeah, but he can recover. So again, I've just based on what I've seen from doctors on social media. Again, the quicker that you get immediate treatment, the less likely for significant damage to your brain. And other organs. So, assuming he got the care he needed right then and there, it may turn out where he's able to fully recover, and have a, quality life. Maybe not playing football again, but, still be able to walk, talk, communicate, do whatever he needs to. So at this point, he's in critical condition. I think I know he's receiving oxygen
around the what does that say? Around the hour healthcare.
Yeah. And they're wanting to make sure that he can breathe on his own. They're not there yet. But he's in critical but stable condition, and we'll see what happens. You just got to keep him in your prayers, keep his family, in your prayers, and just hope for a speedy recovery.
See, my thing is I always think of, I know I don't want to think bad thoughts, but I always think about the worst case scenario in the situation. And I always feel yes, I think he's grateful that he survived. It's just things like what is going to be his quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he makes it through. He walks again. Like the same thing with that linebacker you guys had.
Yeah, Shazier.
Yes, Shazier. So let's hope that the same thing happens with the Hamlin.
Yeah, let me just say, sports in general, I don't care what sport you play, there's always risk for injury, right? Especially with contact sports, obviously. There's people who have died playing sports. It's not abnormal, right? People in boxing, for example, have died in the ring. You've had people playing football who've died mostly from heat strokes, those type of injuries. So death in sports is not rare. This specific issue that happened, this incident, is rare. It's uncommon. And to see someone, having to have CPR administered on the field in front of millions of people, that's not common. And I think everyone was shaken up, just watching it. And, I'm glad we were able to all come together now. And this seems to be unifying everyone. You still got some trolls out there who want to talk about like the vaccine and all that crap. That has nothing to do with this injury, but for the most part,
whoa, that's going far.
Yeah, for the most part, everyone's united in praying, for his health, and doesn't matter, what team you root for or whatever. I think people realize is bigger than football, so it's gotten us closer together.
Yeah, I think that overall, the overall, yes, people die all the time, and injuries happen all the time. But what makes this one so special, it is the timing. The timing is what makes it so special. It happened on a Monday night. It happened on week 17. It happened. Two top teams were playing on national TV. That's what makes it this. If this happened to a nobody that we don't know during practice, we'd just be like, you know what? Too bad for that guy, man. That's horrible what happened. But the fact that it happened in national TV, it happened to not just Bill fans, but football fans altogether. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's gonna be a lot of, backlash from the trolls, backlash from, Skip Bayless thing, and it's just terrible. I think this is a time, like you mentioned, just come together and hope for the best for this guy.
Yep.
The other thing that we want to talk about in the NFL news is Derek Carr being benched. Why is this shocking to you, Ron?
Well, I don't know if I should say it's shocking. I feel, though, that with him being benched, they're placing the blame for this season solely on Derek Carr. That's what that's the sense I'm getting. With 2 games left, nothing to play for. Why do you bench your starting quarterback? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the bench them because, number one, they don't want to pay him. That's number one. The Raiders are being super duper cheap.
So they don't want to pay him next year?
Yes, that is. They don't want any of those incentives to kick in, any of that stuff because basically the Raiders, the rumor is, and this is through the rumor mill, is that the Raiders are not cashing in on everything. I don't know what that means. I don't know what Al Davis' son is doing, Mark Davis. Whatever reason, they're like being cheap. If they weren't cheap, they would even fire Josh if they knew that he's on the contract. But
so I don't believe that fully.
Well, that's the rumors. That's the rumors.
Yeah. Well, they're in a situation where I don't know what they know, if they know what they're doing, because on one end you just went out and got Devontae, right? You just gave him that huge contract. But here you are saying, okay, maybe Carr's not the quarterback of the future, so you want to give up on that contract. But is your team good enough where you can bring in a veteran and make the playoffs, or are you looking at a full rebuild? I don't think they have the answer to that right now.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't place the blame on Derek Carr for this season. I think the defense has a lot to do with not for them not being good this year. So basically, there was so many games that they were up 17 points, and the lead disappeared for whatever reason. So I don't want to say no, it's Derek Carr's fault that the season's gone horribly, but at the same time, he had arguably number one receiver, arguably number two running back, number one running back, based on rushing, right? A very, very good tight end.
He was hurt most of the year, though, but
still a good tight end. And you had different receivers at this line. You had Renfro. You had that guy that torched the pads the other day, Hamlin. So he wasn't lacking weapons.
Listen, I'm not saying he has no. This is, he has no fault. Of course, he didn't play well, right? So he needs to own that part of it. But I don't know if I feel like at this point, benching him, is like placing blame, on him. Right? If I'm the coach, ride it out, right? You got nothing to lose, right? And nothing to play for. Just ride it out. Let Carr finish the season. Then make, in the off season, make some decisions about what your path is as an organization. Like I said, are you rebuilding? And if you are rebuilding, are you doing that with Carr as your quarterback or without him? That's what they need to figure out. Don't do that mid-season, or especially at the end of the season with 2 games left to play. That shows a little bit of dysfunction to me.
A little bit. It's a lot of dysfunction. But as I mentioned before, Raiders don't want to pay him. So what's going to happen is, this is what I expect to happen. Derek Carr is not going to play this game, right? Or week 17, week 18.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's going to ask to be traded, because I think he has like a year or 2 years left in his contract, but he's not going to want to play. They just benched him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to trade for, more draft picks, whatever the case may be. And Derek Carr can be a better player somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that he's trash, but obviously I'm not saying the Raiders want to pay him.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to, because you already said that. They have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
So why even bench him?
Yeah.
So that's my speculation of how I see this playing out. And I think that's the only reason why you would do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking at his numbers, he has 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He has over 3,500 yards passing. So he's definitely putting the ball in the end zone. So he's definitely not a top 5 quarterback.
He's not playing like it, that's for sure. And he's not a top 5 regardless. But
yeah, he's not a top 5. So I think what the Raiders are saying, hey, we can do this because, number one, we're dysfunctional. And number two, Derek Carr, he's only 31 years old. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he doesn't have game. So, right. Yeah, so that's why I don't feel bad for Derek Carr.
Where do you think he ends up?
Well, Carolina needs a quarterback, right? And what the rumor is Harbaugh might be going there.
I have no idea. He might be going there. Denver, who knows?
Who knows? But I feel like there's so many teams that need quarterbacks. Why wouldn't you take Derek Carr?
Commanders.
Yep.
Colts. This is right up the Colts alley, right? They like veteran quarterbacks. I don't know what's going to happen with Matty Ice next year. But Derek Carr will land in his feet. It's just a matter of where does he want to play?
Yeah, where does he want to play? Yep, that's basically what it comes down to. All right, so let's go into week 17 and let's look at our predictions that we had. So let's start with the Miami at New England. Ron, you predicted New England to win, and they won 23-21. I predicted them to lose this game. Okay, so my question to you is, Ron, why do you think New England was going to have this game? Even before we knew it wasn't Scarlett Thompson, it was Teddy Bridgewater. So why were you so confident?
I wasn't confident. I mean, I had a 17-13 prediction. They barely won. I think it was more just a hope, to be honest with you. So, you know this. I'm still rooting for the Steelers to somehow back their way into the playoffs. And obviously, in order for that to happen, we needed the Patriots to win. So I thought what was going on with Tua, he had just been placed in concussion protocol. Teddy having a full week of practice, but just, you know, not being the quarterback, you know, at the start of the season is going to be a lot for him to, you know, pick things up. And the Patriots still have a good defense too. I was confident on the Patriots being able to slow Miami's offense down a little bit. So I just thought it was a good matchup for them. And then obviously when Bridgewater went down, you know, I thought
that sealed the deal.
Yeah, that sealed the deal.
I did not. I've been on this team out since that whole Raiders fallout happened, and they've picked up the pieces, kind of, sort of. I mean, I looked at this game when I was watching this game. It didn't look like they were gonna score that many points, but 23 points is a lot, and there was a couple of drives where Mac Jones looked good. Not his best, but he looked good. And the defense, I think this is like their 6th touchdown of the year. I mean, Kyle Duggar, it's like 2 weeks in a row now that he's had a touchdown. He's actually scored more points than Jacoby Myers, our leading wideout. But again, he also scored a touchdown in that game. So I'm still not convinced. We'll see next week what happens, but yeah, they actually won that game. The next game, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Ron, you had them winning 20-17. I had them winning 24-17. The final score was 16-13. This was a Sunday night game. Ron, were you at all concerned about this game?
Absolutely. Baltimore's a tough team. They're a team that likes to be physical. They want to run the ball down your throat, and it doesn't matter if they have a quarterback that can't really pass, because their intention is not really to pass a lot. It's just to run the balls. And I based on how they handled us the last game, we turned the ball over 3 times. I thought we had issues slowing them down. I was concerned, but the way we came out, we didn't score a lot of points, but we were being very physical throughout the entire game. I was happy to see that. I was a little upset at some of the play calling, not allowing Kenny to air it out a little bit more, especially that first half. But what a game. I'm completely excited for Kenny, you know, and for the Steelers. Their defense looked like they're, you know, they're balling out. They're playing really good. TJ's starting to look a little bit more healthy. And on offense, you know, Kenny's got it. Harris is healthy. You know, receivers are stepping up. Tight ends are stepping up. I'm happy that we can sit here going into week 18 and talk about Steelers having a potential chance to get into the postseason.
So let me ask you a question. If they win this week and, you know, the Jets lose and Patriots lose and you get into playoffs, is Matt Canada coming back?
Well, Jets need to win, so I need Miami to lose.
Miami to lose, sorry.
No, I don't think he's coming back. So I'm not, you know, we can't be naive, right? Yeah, we won the game. Yeah, everyone's playing better. Kenny's progressing. At the end of the day, though, you scored 16 points. And I think, what did you have, 6 points maybe at half or something like that? So it doesn't erase the fact, regardless of how you're playing, the point of the game is to score points, right, and win. And offensively, even with these last 2 weeks, you know, last second drives, Christmas, and then, you know, this game, it doesn't change the fact that we're not scoring enough points. So in my eyes, I think, he knows he's out the door as soon as the season's over.
So in what scenario would you bring Matt Canada back? You have to win the Super Bowl?
From now?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything you could do today to bring him back. I think we're too far into it. He had all season, not just for the players to improve, and the players have, but for his system to work. And the only way you measure that is not just by wins, it's by points, right? Points per game. If you go back and look at our wins these last few weeks, we're winning, but we're winning because our defense is playing a lot better. We're still not scoring consistently in the 20s or anything like that, right? It's still a struggle offensively for us to win. So at this point, I don't see him coming back. Not with one game, maybe a playoff game if we're lucky. There's nothing he can do to bring us back, to get back there.
See, I think that if you get in the playoffs and you win in the playoffs, I think maybe even if you win and go into the divisional round, I think Matt Canada comes back.
So if just based on what you said,
yes.
Right? Because Patriots have the same problem.
Yeah. Well,
Patriots win.
We already talked about the Patriots.
But if the Patriots win, get into the playoffs, and win a game, let's say 13-10.
Yep.
They pull off some miracle upset or something.
Yep.
Are you bringing Patricia back? Scoring 13 points a week?
The owner has already said he's out.
So why the hell do you think we're going to bring...
Because your owner hasn't said that. Has he? Has he said no? My owner, Robert Kraft.
Where has Robert Kraft said Matt Patricia?
In the news.
I have not seen that.
Well, you have not because you're a Pittsburgh fan.
Well, send that to me. I want to see it. I don't think anyone's saying at this point. The writing's on the wall, yes, but...
He's out. He's out.
They're both
out.
But you want him out. And I want Matt Canada out.
I want him out, yes.
Yeah, I want Matt Canada out too.
I'm trying to tell you that if you win, people will forget. Winning makes you forget.
People ain't going to forget you're scoring 13 points a week. No, that doesn't happen.
That's the Steelers' MO.
No.
Win with defense.
You got to score. Right? Defense, yes. It's important. It can lead to wins, yes. At the end of the day, you can't be putting up 15, 16, 17 points. You got to score. Right? It's about scoring points. And like I said, has he gotten better? Yes, obviously. His play calling has been a little bit better. At the same time, it doesn't matter if you're driving the ball up the field like we've been doing every single week. Who cares what that looks like? If you're getting into the red zone, you can't score. You got to settle for field goals. Doesn't matter. I don't pay you. Right? Matt Canada, he's not getting paid to kick field goals. You're getting paid to score touchdowns.
And that's why if you keep winning, as ugly as you are winning, Matt Canada is going to stay.
No way. So look at these scores. 16-13. 13-10 the week before that was a win. We scored 24 points against the Panthers. But when I remember, I think there was a pick six or something like that in there. The Ravens, we lost 16-14. The week before that, we won 19-16. Against the Colts, 24-17. You can't win, consistently like that. You just can't. So, I'm at this point, like I said, he's got to go, and I think Tomlin realizes that. At the end of the season, every coach, every owner sits down and look at their team and say, okay, where can we get better, right? Offense, did we do what we're supposed to? Yeah, we had growth, individual growth. Kenny Pickett, some of the other, like Pickens, even Harris dealing with the injury and being able to overcome that. Doesn't matter. You're not scoring points, right? So you got to figure out how you can get better.
But, you guys are moving the ball, though. You guys have a great running game. I'm telling you, wins, erase, all that. You can hype critical about your team, but if you make it to the playoffs, and not only make it, but you win in the playoffs, all is forgotten.
Okay.
All is forgotten.
All right. Well, hey, Kenny Pickett, by the way, he has arrived. Okay.
Well,
I've been trying to tell people.
I don't know if he's arrived.
I try to tell
he's
you
a pretty good player
on Christmas, right? I try to tell you.
Let me
Christmas
see
Eve,
him win in the playoffs first.
That Kenny is our franchise quarterback. Anyone who's doubting it has no clue about football.
I don't know if he's arrived. He
has arrived.
Good player.
I don't need to hear anyone or see anything else. I didn't need to hear or see anything when the season started. I saw enough at Pitt. Right?
So when
in the
I
pro
say
system.
you were in a cult and you denied
I'm not in a cult. I'm not. See, the difference is people that are in a cult are saying Kenny could do nothing wrong. No, Kenny has a long way to go. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
A long way to go. He has a lot to improve on.
That's what I'm saying.
But to be dismissive and say he's not a good quarterback, or he can't play in this weather, or his hands are too small, or we need to go out and draft another quarterback, which is what I don't
know about drafting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Some of these crazy Steeler fans are like, let's tank the season and go draft another quarterback. I mean, give me a break.
Well, that's just delusional right there. I'm not saying I'm delusional like that, but he's a good player. You know, I just want to see more. I want to see more Kenny.
Yeah. Hey.
Before I crown him, I want to see more Kenny.
You probably want to see more of Mac too.
I don't know if I want to see more Mac. The way he's acting, I don't know. I
what?
I want to see more Mac.
Listen, I told you too last year when you drafted Mac, you got a good quarterback. It don't matter if you have Jesus Christ, playing for you. You got morons that have no clue what they're doing, calling plays. It's not going to look good. So you got to figure out what you're doing with Patricia. You got to get some stability.
Well, we're going to talk about Matt Patricia when we do our predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Carolina at Tampa Bay because you picked it 24-18. I picked it 13-10. They won 30-24. They actually scored a lot of points. Was this the old Tampa Bay that for some reason disappeared?
Yeah. I knew they would come out and play well because they knew what was at stake. They win and they would clinch. So that's what they did. They came out and played hard, but not just played hard. Brady just looked better. He hit those deep passes. Mike Evans looked healthier too, right? He wasn't running off the field after every route that he runs. So they just played like they should have played all season. And maybe this is the first step, right? And maybe this is them clicking. And, we'll see what happens this week. This game doesn't mean anything, but once they get into the playoffs, maybe they can keep that going. I don't know, but it was impressive to see them not just win, but to score as much as they did.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if this means that Tampa Bay is back, because next week, who will they finish? They finish against Atlanta, but I want to see them in the playoffs before I get confidence about, TB12. I think that, great, you put up 30 points against Carolina, but can you do it against a good team in the playoffs? We will see. Upset special. Rams at the Los Angeles Chargers. You went 23-20. I went 28-24. But the Chargers ended up winning 31-10. Are you surprised by this score? I wasn't I wasn't too surprised. But man, can the Rams just play a little harder next time? Jeez.
I'm surprised because Mayfield was playing so well. And I guess I wasn't 100% sold on the Chargers just yet, but I'd hate to be the team to play the Chargers in the playoffs. Let me just say that. I don't want to be that team that has to play them that first week because right now their offense is clicking and their defense, is playing lights out as well. So that's a tough team to go. And I told you last year, I think when we did our podcast, like watch out for the Chargers in a couple of years, 2-3 years. Well, This is year 2, and I'm not saying they're going to be in the Super Bowl or anything, but they're a dangerous team. And like I said, I don't want to be that team that has to face them in the playoffs.
I'm not too scared about the Chargers right now because the teams that are being are the teams that they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be the Chargers. They're supposed to beat the Colts. They're supposed to beat whoever. I'm not. These are the teams that the Patriots should have been beating. The Chargers are actually handling the business. So let's wait until the playoffs until see the matchup because right now it's up in the air because of the suspension from that game last night. We don't know who's number 1. We don't know who's number 2. We don't know who's number 3. So we'll have to figure it out at some point. All right, let's go into week number 18, the last week before the playoffs. Let's start with Tampa at Atlanta. It's a 3-point spread. Tampa Bay is favored. 41 over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
Yeah, so let me say this too. We're running on the assumption all these games are being played this week. Nothing has, no announcements have come out to say anything otherwise. Looks like the Bills game will get rescheduled to I don't know when, maybe after this week. I thought they would just push everything back 1 week. Have the Bills play this weekend and just push everything back a week. I don't know. But assuming we do have the week 18 this week.
Wait, you would rather see them move all 16 games 1 week to make up for the Bills-Bengals game?
Well, I know they can't do that, right? You got ticket sales and all that, revenue and stuff. But I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to squeeze the Bills game back in.
That is for them to figure it out because they can't do that without taking away their advantage, right? So basically, if you try to squeeze into that game, then you don't have enough time to prepare for the next game.
So you think they don't play at all? They have to play.
Well, they have to play this game. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
Because after this week, the playoffs start, and they're definitely not going to push that back. Someone mentioned on Twitter that there's 1 week between the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl. But then what does that mean? That we don't start the playoffs in time? So we wait for the Bengals-Cincinnati game?
No. Yeah.
The Bills-Bengals game? I don't think they're going to do that. So this is like the show must go on and 2 of the most important players are not in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do. This is, I don't want to be working for the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Because this is what's the fuck?
Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm going to, roll with the assumption that we're playing. Tampa, like I said earlier, has nothing to really play for here. But I still think they are going to want to go in and win. They don't want to go into the playoffs losing. So I got Tampa winning convincingly, but not going too crazy in terms of points. I got 21-7 Tampa winning.
Yeah, I think Tampa wins this game 28-10. I think that they try out new plays and see what works, what doesn't. I see this game as like an exercise game, but then, like you mentioned, you also don't want to lose this game, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they even have the starters out going into the fourth quarter this game, regardless of the score. Because I don't think, now that you clinch, you don't want to risk injury at this late stage of the game. So I get the sense they'll pull, especially like the older vets, people like Evans, Brady.
Basically all the stars, right?
Yeah.
All the stars that need extra rest. So they'll pull them out. New England at Buffalo. I found the spread. It's 7.5 points. Buffalo's favorite. It's 42 over and under. Ron, what's your final score?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I'm a little concerned here. I don't know what to expect from Buffalo if we play this week. After everything that went down yesterday, what the heck's going to happen with Buffalo, when they come out? I wrote down, Buffalo winning 27-17. But I don't know if Buffalo mentally is going to be in it. And depending on, what happens with the schedule, if they're going to play all their players the full game and really go out and try to win, I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
I was in the same boat. I was like, is Buffalo even practicing this week? I don't even know.
No, I mean, right now, half the team, from what I understand, is still in Cincinnati, and then some players may have flown back.
Yeah, so, and this is, New England has to be the luckiest team because against Miami, they lost their backup momentarily, or for the game, I don't know. And then this happens to Buffalo, but even with all this chaos going on, I still see Buffalo winning this game 35-21. I think that, yes, the defense is going to let up, but not enough. I think Josh Allen comes through in the end, and he takes it upon himself. And I do feel that even though this horrific thing happened, a team can come closer around it, right? Mm-hmm. A team can bond and say, you know what? Let's dedicate this season to Hamlin. So it just depends on how fast you can put it together. Yeah. And I think that assuming that there's no break in between, I think that Buffalo can pull this one out. Even though all this tragic stuff happened, I think they can pull it out. And this is what I mentioned to you earlier was, we know Matt Patricia is not coming back. The rumor is that he will have a job.
Where?
In New England. Okay. But it won't be offensive coordinator. And I already told you that I talked myself into Bill O'Brien. So, hey, even if they get in the playoffs, Matt Patricia is a goner. The next game.
It's so funny what we as fans will convince ourselves, that will happen just for the better of the team, because we don't want to imagine having another season with Matt Patricia or another season with Matt Canada. We just don't want to. You can't imagine it.
Well, you want Matt Canada gone from the Steelers. Matt Patricia is still a valuable person. No, he's sucks as an offensive coordinator, but he's a great defensive mind. I just think that Bill Belichick pushed the envelope just too much. Just too much. And he was like, you know what? You're really good on defense. Why don't I put you on offense? And it was an error. It was a mistake. Nothing against Matt Patricia. I think he's, even though he stunk at Detroit, I think he's still a good defense coordinator, but not on offense. So, no, I don't want him gone, but I just don't want him to have the keys to the offense anymore. Just take the keys away. Okay. I'll forgive him. If he comes back, he said, yeah, that was a little bit too much. He won't do. But, yeah, just take the keys again. Okay. Give it to Bill O'Brien. He knows what he's doing. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. 3-point favorite Steelers are. 39 over and under. Ron, what's your prediction?
I got the Steelers winning 20-17. I got the Steelers not just winning this game, but I think things landing perfectly with the Patriots loss and the Jets beating Miami with their quarterback situation. I got the Steelers winning to get in the playoffs, 20-17. I'm a little worried. Again, we're not scoring a lot of points. What I'm more worried about? Boswell missing kicks. Like, what the heck's going on? I hope this doesn't come down to a make or break field goal, because I have no confidence in our field goal kicker anymore. But I got us winning 20-17 to not just clinch a winning record for Tomlin. Once again, never had a losing season, but more importantly, getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that the Steelers are going to win this one 27-24. I give them a lot of points because right now the Steelers are on a high. I feel like even with the defendant Watson playing there, and he had a decent game this past weekend. I think he scored like 3 touchdowns by himself.
Did he?
Yeah, he had a decent game. So they can put up points when they want to, but I still see the Steelers winning this out, even with your kicker having his issues. I still like Steelers better winning against the Cleveland Browns. Okay, let's move on to the upset special because Detroit at Green Bay, it's 4.5 favorites, 49 points. And you like Detroit, right?
I do. And I shouldn't because we know Aaron Rodgers owns Detroit, right? But I like this Detroit team. I do. I like watching them play. I love their offense. I love the running backs they have. I love Aiden Hutchinson. Probably rookie of the year on defense. I just think they have a really good team. And I hope for their sake they win. Because they need to win to get in, and I want to keep seeing them play. So I got them winning 28-14. I don't feel confident in that, but that's my upset special because that's what I want to happen.
I went with Baltimore beating Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 7 points. It's 42.5 over and under. I went with Baltimore 17-14. I know Lamar won't be back. But, what happened last night with the game, coupled with, this is for the division basically because there was no game last night. So we didn't know what the record is. We don't know when they're going to play that game. I just feel like Cincinnati's in the same boat as Buffalo. They're just confused. They don't know what's going on. However, before, or at least at the start of this game, I was looking at Joe Burrows and I was very impressed. He was carving the Buffalo
Where have
defense.
you been?
What do you mean, where? You defended Tua.
He's top 5. Time out.
Shut it down.
I defended Tua for being a Pro Bowl candidate.
And this is one of them.
When
you would rather take Tua over
the
Burrows?
fan voting. That's what I'm defending Tua
Forget
for.
about the fan voting.
Right? That's
Burrow
was a top 5 quarterback. There's no doubt about.
He might be a top 2. He was so good.
He is. I mean, we've seen.
No, I'm saying that he's so good that I think Cincinnati might be the AFC team to beat.
Would it be that shocking though? Isn't this what they did last year? Start the year crappy, and then at the end of the year it clicked, and
it would be shocking because you didn't pick them. I didn't pick them.
No, I still think Buffalo is a better team.
I was gonna go with the Chiefs, but
the Chiefs might be a better team.
I like what I saw from Cincinnati.
At the end of the day,
6 wins in a row. I mean, they're a streaky team, and I think they are on a streak. And it was unfortunate what happened last night, but it looked like Cincinnati was going to handle business.
Yeah.
And
you can't tell from one series, right? Did Buffalo just have one series as well?
They both had one series, but Burrows went 4 for 4 with a touchdown.
That's what he does. And Josh Allen just can go 4 for 4. I mean,
I'm just telling you.
These 3 teams, right? Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati. They are like, way over the other teams in the AFC.
Those are the 3 quarterbacks that are in the Pro Bowl.
They're better than I talked about the Chargers earlier. Chargers are good, and I don't want to play them, but those teams are still better than the Chargers. But that's who the
Chargers will be playing. One of those 3 teams.
What? Chargers are what, 9-6?
10-6.
10-6. So, who would they end up playing? The
3rd, I think. So they might be playing either Cincy or the Bills
or the Ravens, right?
Or no, Cincy wins all out.
Depending on what happened, I guess.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying is I want to see the Chargers play one of these 3 teams.
Yeah.
And actually come out on top before I'm fully scared of the Chargers.
There's a reason the Bengals got to the Super Bowl last year, right? It wasn't a fluke. They're a good team. Burrow is that good. Having said that, it's still Patrick Mahomes. and it's still Josh Allen. What would have happened last year if we didn't have that back and forth like we did with Buffalo and Kansas City? Would Kansas City have had enough the next week and beat Cincinnati? I don't know.
It just depends. And let's just go into the playoff picture, because I think we need to talk about what the matchups are looking like. And I know last night kind of messed up what we thought would be the matchups, but let's look at what we were talking about early. So right now in the AFC, if you look at who clinched so far, we have Buffalo clinched.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Chiefs clinched, and the what's the other team? We don't know about Cincinnati.
Yeah, they still
and Baltimore, because it's the minus that one game, right?
Right.
So we don't know. So what I'm saying is, the Chargers might play the Chiefs if, for whatever reason, the Bills win out.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a tight for the top playoff spot because of that one game that was postponed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what's going to happen. Now, if you jump to the NFC, we already know that it's on lockdown, because got the Eagles, the Niners, the Vikings, Tampa. Basically, we know who the division winners are already. And then you have the Cowboys and Giants, who already clinched the playoff spot. So basically, both divisions, both conferences are playing for the 7th spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we don't know who the 7 is going to be playing, because the 7 could be playing the Bills, or the 7 could be playing the Chiefs, or even the 7th could be playing the Bengals. We don't know.
Yeah. So in the hunt right now in the AFC, you got the Patriots, who are in this 7th spot right now, Dolphins and Steelers. Titans somehow are mathematically still in this, but I think they would need like a miracle. They basically would need to.
Well, they basically would need to beat the Jaguars, right?
Yeah.
And win the division,
right?
And then they would have, because they would have a better record. They would have the same record as Jacksonville, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have a better in-conference record. Am I wrong? No, they're actually 5-6 in conference record. Jaguars actually have a better conference record. What about the division? Nope, they'll be the same. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They will win out because they have a better division record. 4-2 against Jacksonville, 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so
that's why the Titans are still in it then.
Yeah.
But and then on the other side, you know, you got the Seahawks, Lions, and Packers. Talked a little bit about them already. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I see the Packers beating Detroit, even though that was my upset special. Seahawks would need to lose for Packers still to get in. Seahawks have, who do we see they play?
They play the Rams.
The Rams. So, it's tight, man. It's last game of the season. And you got all these teams fighting for that last playoff spot, essentially. So
what do you need for the Steelers to get in? You need
it's easy.
Patriots to lose.
Dolphins to lose.
And then you're in.
And then we're in. And the reason why is because we lost to the Patriots, we lost to the Dolphins, we lost to the Jets. So in terms of tiebreakers, we're in a crappy place, and we need to have a better record than those teams.
See, for the Patriots to get in, they just need to win against Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
But they can still get in with a loss if the Steelers lose and if the Dolphins lose.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of control their destiny. And again, a lot need to happen if they lose.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even if, see, this is the thing with the Patriots. Even if they get in.
That's the thing for all of these teams. All of these teams in both conferences, doesn't matter who gets into that 7th spot. It's probably one and done.
Well, would you say that about Green Bay or Lions?
Yeah.
You say one and done?
Yeah, I think so.
even if you got the 7th seed, even if you play, because the Eagles defense hasn't been lights out.
That's true. But you're going on the road and playing in Philly, right? Or San Francisco, depending on who finishes at the top. You don't want to be on the road in San Fran or in Philly.
Would you rather play Purdy or would you rather play Hurst?
Would I rather play if I'm the opposing team? I'd rather play Purdy.
Exactly.
Even though it's San Fran has the best defense in the league. I don't want to play against Hurts. I wouldn't. But I just don't see Packers, Lions, or Seahawks beating any of those two teams, Eagles or 49ers.
I just, making the playoffs wider and accepting other teams, and I don't know if this makes it for good football to watch.
Yeah, and the AFC, I don't see Patriots, Dolphins, or Steelers beating the Chiefs or Bills or Bengals, right?
Bengals, right. And that's what I mean. It's like, yes, it would be nice if the team made it, but no, because then you got to play against these juggernauts.
Yeah.
And it's not.
But you know why I want to be there? For the Steelers? Because Kenny Pickett is a rookie. Pickens is a rookie. Playoff experience is so important to everyone's development. And if we can get one game, even if it's, we get blown out, if he can just, add that under his belt to say, hey, I played in a playoff game, I know what the atmosphere is going to be like, I think that's important. That's why it's important to get to the playoffs regardless.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it is important to get to the playoffs, but then you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight ever. That's just life, period. And I feel like this is what's happening with the Patriots. They bring a knife to a gunfight.
But we've talked about this beginning of the season, right?
To a high-scoring Chiefs, a high-scoring Bills, high-scoring Bengals. It's just
what did we say at the beginning of the season about where our teams are at in terms of the conference, right? We said both of our teams are 9th, 10th, 11th best in their conference, and they're looking up at a bunch of other teams that are not just better than them, like way better than them. So it's going to be like this for a while, not just this year, next year, maybe a year after that, because Mahomes not going anywhere, Josh Allen's not going anywhere, Burrow's not going anywhere. Those teams aren't going anywhere. And we just talked about the Chargers too. They're getting better. They're not going anywhere. So when can we elevate our teams to get to where we can easily say we're at 11 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins?
Well, I'll tell you, it won't start by firing Mike Tomlin. It won't start by firing Bill Belichick.
No.
You just got to improve. Like you said, improve on the things that you need to get better at. Mm-hmm. And whether that's drafting, whether that's hiring a new offensive coordinator, whether that's, whatever the case might be, I think that because the Steelers and the Patriots are well coached, we can say, hey, we might get into playoffs, even though we know this team can't score points, even though we know this team's kicker is, kind of shaky. There's so many things that you're not 100% bet your life on these things, because throughout the whole season, even before the season, it's just it's a hard battle, and it's that whole thing of like that guillotine going back and forth, like, oh, they're good for 4 games or they're horrible for 4 games. Look at the Steelers. They were not good for that initial first 7 games. They got better. Look at Matt Patricia. I was like, hey, he actually is running an offense well, and then it was against cupcake teams. So it's terrible. You should be handling business like the top tier team.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. No. So we'll be watching this weekend. Saturday, some games, right? Who's playing Saturday?
So Jacksonville, I think, is what they said, right? And then I think there's an NFC game too. Let's see for schedule. Yeah, Kansas City against the Raiders, and then Titans, Jacksonville.
And I don't know what Kansas City is gonna do because they want to get the number one, but it's against the Raiders. So, so I see them going all out. Same. And then you have the matchups, basically all 1 o'clock games.
Wow, so they got time showing now because earlier today they didn't have any time showing. So it looks like they finally said, okay, we're going to have all of these games at 1 o'clock. So we'll know after the first, 1 o'clock games, who's basically filling the AFC.
Yeah, this is gonna basically tell us where we at.
I thought they would try to flex one of these games to a primetime game. I'm glad they kept it all at 1 o'clock though.
Well, I'm glad not all of them but then the
Packers are there.
The 4:30 games nobody cares about, right?
Yeah. Well, for the NFC, the 4:30 game, Seahawks need to win, right? They got the Rams, but even with them winning, they still need Green Bay to lose. Is that right? So Green Bay plays Sunday night at 8:20. So we're still they're going to be up watching that.
They're going to be watching that game. They're going to be cheering for Detroit because if Green Bay wins, then they are in. They get to face the Eagles. All right. And anything else that we left out for this week 18?
No, nothing we left out. I do want to say though, I think next week, and I just took a sneak peek at what our predictions were for the beginning of the year, and we're not far off of what we thought our teams were. But I do want to kind of recap next week at the end of the season, whether or not our team's in the playoffs or not. How did we predict? How did our predictions go for our teams? Because I'm looking at like some of what we chose. You had the Steelers winning 7 games. I had them winning 10. So it doesn't look like they won't be at 7 or they won't be at 10. So they might be at 8 or they might be at 9.
Yeah, they might be in the middle. Yeah, we're gonna have that next week, and then we're also gonna have who won the predictions, our upset specials, and then next week let's just see what shakes out. We don't know who's gonna be in the matchup, so and then we don't know if when the game is gonna be played.
Yeah.
So but hey, just keep those positive vibes for Hamlin. Hopefully he makes it through. Ron, what do you got to say?
Prayers for Hamlin, excuse me, and his family. That's way more important than anything we just talked about in terms of our teams. And that's it. Let's all stick together, like we have been for the last 24 hours, and make sure this kid can recover.
Yes, I agree. And with that said, I say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Shut Your Mouth Podcast at gmail.com. That's SYM Podcast at gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram at SYM Podcast. Thanks again.
SYM Podcast Show.